Good afternoon, fans, and thank you so much for tuning in to Championship Wrestling Connections presentation of Southern States Wrestling. On today's episode, a look back at two classic matches through the years of the outstanding 25-year history of Southern States Wrestling. Enjoy a look back at these two fantastic matches, one featuring the international superstar, the Masked Superstar.
Fans, for the Southern States Wrestling International title, the legendary Masked Man, the Masked Superstar, goes up against the champion Konnan Chris Walker. Joe Wheeler, Mark Curtis, yours truly, Chip Kessler, to bring it to you. And Joe, you have a great match in the making here. A young legend against an older veteran in the Masked Superstar.
Absolutely right, Chip. This should be a great encounter for the international title, as Konnan Chris Walker and the Masked Superstar locked up collar and elbow. And Superstar brings this man over right there very quickly, and the experienced Masked Superstar going to work on the younger Konnan Chris Walker. But Chris Walker was able to reverse that situation into a hammerlock, as he's got the Superstar down on the mat, at least for the moment, Mark.
I tell you what, you talk about this being an international match. It truly is, because these men are not strangers to each other. They have wrestled each other, I believe, in Singapore. They have wrestled each other in India. So this is not their first encounter. They're battling tonight here in Kingsport, Tennessee, for the international title, brought to you by Southern States Wrestling.
Shoulder block and tackle, the power of the Masked Superstar evident right there, as Konnan Chris Walker, who is a well put together professional wrestler in his own right, has a physique that most men would love to have, but he went flying when he crashed into Masked Superstar right then and there as they tie up again. Working now the arm twisting is Konnan Chris Walker, follows that up with an elbow. The Masked Superstar, I'm sure, Joe, is going to wait and pick and choose his spots here, and when you give that type of guy an opening, he's going to take full advantage of it.
That's for sure, Chip, as Superstar right there showed it as he caught him in that takeover, but Konnan Chris Walker showing his tenacity as he holds onto that arm, and now I thought he was possibly going to drive an elbow or drive a knee into the elbow area of the Masked Superstar, but Konnan Chris Walker, the defending champion here in this event here in Southern States Wrestling, and he allowed a clean break there. Referee James McCone called for a break as Superstar had made his way to the ropes, and Konnan Chris Walker showing his fairness in the matchup by allowing a clean breakup, as both men are circling once again. They've locked up collar and elbow. Superstar with a headlock takeover there, and Walker pulls this man into a leg scissors, as Konnan Chris Walker was able to quickly counter that hold there by the Masked Superstar, Mark.
What we've got to watch for in this match, of course, with the champion, notes the flying crossbody off the top rope, along with his flying arsenal of drop kicks and headbutts and everything else. With the Masked Superstar, you got a whole different situation. You've got to watch for the lariat off the ropes, and you've got to watch for what some people call the Cobra, but the Masked Superstar has called it the Shinanomaki. That is that deadly sleeper hold. So those are the things that you got to keep an eye on and look out for the 1, 2, 3 or the submission here tonight.
Konnan Chris Walker won the Southern States Wrestling International Championship belt several months ago as part of an international tournament here in SSW. And this by far has got to be considered his toughest title defense. The Masked Superstar cinching in on that chin lock. Again, he'll put all his power. Look as he cinches it up and works his body behind Konnan Chris Walker for the extra leverage and power, trying to sap some of the strength of Konnan Chris Walker, who reaches behind the referee James McCone there, quick to break it up.
Superstar using that weight and leverage as he's wrenching down on that hold, and complaining there of his mask being pulled, but he got a handful of hair right there and was able to take down Konnan Chris Walker. Snap mirrors this man over, and into a reverse chinlock of his, once again, is the Masked Superstar as he's trying to ground this young superstar in Konnan Chris Walker. Of course, Walker, the current international title champion, and as he is being grounded at this point by the Masked Superstar as he continues with that reverse chinlock, Mark, and I think this is showing the Masked Superstar's experience as he's grounding this young lion in the world of wrestling.
That's very true, but if you remember correctly, Chip, that at the end of that tournament there was some controversy with Konnan Chris Walker winning the belt, and that controversy has not been cleared up yet. The tapes are still being watched. Decisions are still being made. There was a lot of controversy with Hans Keller, Heinrich Keller, in that last match. So he is also #1 contender for that belt or for the title international.
Yep, the list is long for competitors, as you would expect, and guys like the Masked Superstar. As we pointed out several times tonight, in the case of a Masked Superstar, the wild-eyed Southern boy Tracy Smothers, these are legendary superstars who literally can have their choice of where they want to go and wrestle professionally, but they're coming into Southern States Wrestling to take on the likes of the title holders, Handsome Bo James, and now in this case, Conan Chris Walker, who has gained the advantage, wrapping up that left leg. As you look, though, there's the Superstar going from behind, even though Conan had the advantage, locking up that leg. It's then the Masked Superstar from behind who gets that legal chin lock in and is able to apply the pressure, at least momentarily, before Conan Chris Walker there, Joe, was able to break that hold.
Absolutely right, Chip. And Superstar once again rearing back with Walker as he's made his way to the ropes. Referee James McCone has called for a break as Conan Chris Walker now has got him. And I'm not sure he's going to bring him out the hard way here. But Walker's looking to the fans for support as he's got Superstar tied up in the ropes. And Conan Chris Walker, I tell you, he's got his hands full with this veteran as the international title hangs in the balance. And he brought Superstar out the hard way, and his leg is still hurting from the earlier effects of that hold by Conan Chris Walker. As Superstar is calling for a timeout, I think he's going to try to regain his feet here, Mark.
Something that Chip brought up earlier whenever he said that he went for a legal chin lock in this. One of the great things about the Masked Superstar, and that's one of the things throughout the years, nobody can doubt that he is a great wrestler. He has always done things more along the scientific way, much like Harley Race, but he was also a roughhouser. You knew that you were in a wrestling match with the Masked Superstar. He wrestled you. He didn't punch, he didn't brawl, he didn't break chairs over the back. He got out there and he made his reputation by out-wrestling you. And that's something that Chris Walker has got to watch. It's something that these fans are sitting on their hands here, just waiting to see what's going to happen. They're respecting what's going on in the ring. A great wrestling match.
Well, Marcus, you just pointed out with the veteran Masked Superstar, a couple of moments before Superstar works Walker, as he now throws him outside the ring, but before he worked him into the corner and legally broke the hold, Walker then worked the Superstar into the corner, and as Conan stepped back for a clean break, the Masked Superstar brought that big knee right into the midsection when Walker was least expecting it. He was going to break clean with Conan, but the Superstar got in the shot, and now the Masked Superstar is on the offensive as Walker is outside the ring. And even though the Superstar will try to wrestle you cleanly, when he gets the opportunity, yeah, he's going to take that shot when he can, as he did before, Joe, and he does now, using that cable, wrapping it right around the throat of Conan Chris Walker.
Well, as Mark pointed out a minute ago, the Masked Superstar, no doubt, a great, great scientific wrestler when he chooses to be, and he was using that cable to his advantage. And the Superstar showing he can get out and brawl as well. There's no doubt about that. But as Mark pointed out earlier, truly a great classic wrestler. He'll take you down and bend you and twist you and put you in ways that you never were meant to be. And Conan Chris Walker, although he's probably got the youth and maybe even the strength advantage on his size, the experience of the Masked Superstar is certainly coming into play here as he delivers a hard forearm right across the chest of Chris Walker, sending him tumbling once again to the concrete floor here in Kingsport, Tennessee with Southern States Wrestling. And I tell you what, Masked Superstar has got Walker at a great disadvantage at this point, Chip.
Yeah, he does, Joe, as he again started that off the potential clean break from Conan Chris Walker. And then it's been all Masked Superstar. The Walker fighting back with a series of rights. Now a big chop across the throat, sending the Masked Superstar for the ride, but the Masked Man was ready with that big right boot stuck on the clothesline. Down goes Conan Chris Walker. The lariat delivered. Here's the cover, and a count of about 1 to 1.5 to 2 before the count was broke. But now, Mark, as you see, Conan Chris Walker once again, and though the back of the Masked Superstar is to our camera vantage point. It appears from James McCone's actions that this is a legal hold, at least at the moment, by the Masked Man.
It sure is, and that's one of the things I told you have to watch out for is that lariat and the Shinnomaki. And the thing is the Masked Superstar must feel that Conan Chris Walker is not ready to be put to sleep yet. And these fans are finally waking up, and this match can only get better than what it already is.
Right now, Conan Chris Walker, hard way into the turnbuckle in the ropes, goes for the ride. Once again, down goes Conan Chris Walker, the Masked Superstar. There he goes with that sleeper hold. He's applied the hold that Mark Curtis was pointing out to us earlier in this match. Let's see if Conan Chris Walker, their Mark, can break this thing.
This is usually doom. This is usually it. This is the end. I can't believe that Chris Walker's going to be able to get out of this.
Right now, Walker again, Joe, flat on his back, and James McCone also is going to have to be watching for maybe a 3 count, as Walker's literally about out on his feet here.
Well, it's true, Chip, and I tell you what, Superstar's got it locked in on Chris Walker at this point. Referee James McCone right on top of it as Walker is slowly fading here. And I tell you what, we may have a new international champion here in mere moments as referee James McCone's checked. That's twice now the arms fell. If it falls the third time, this match is over. But no, Conan Chris Walker showing right there. He's still got some fighting fire left in him. Maybe if he can make it over to the ropes, Mark, I'm just amazed that he's been able to hold on this long, Mark.
Especially look how purple his face is, but he's punching his way out of it. I mean, you could tell the amount of oxygen that's been cut off to the head because his face keeps getting darker and darker and darker.
And again, the Masked Superstar applies it and is able to get Walker back on the mat, flat on his back, as it will, as James McCone now checks, holding up the arm for the 1, goes for the 2, got that. Let's see if this is it now. Nope, Conan Chris Walker somehow, Joe, I don't know where Conan is getting this second and maybe third and fourth wind of his to keep fighting. For years, as Mark Curtis told us before, no one breaks this hold.
Well, this is true, Chip, and I tell you what, Conan has made his way back up to a vertical base and into the ropes, and Superstar's holding on to him like a pit bull. But the referee necessitated a break, and the Superstar obliged because they were tied up in the ropes. Superstar takes Conan, shoots him into the ropes. Conan took that clothesline and caught Superstar right there with a chop and a second one as Conan Chris Walker now fired up and caught the Superstar with a hard right hand to the top of the head as Conan Chris Walker has been able to turn the momentum of this match around as he's going to the top rope. Apparently, he's climbing the ladder, and you know he's got to be still suffering the effects of the Cobra Clutch of Shinnomaki. We've got some interference here.
Wayne Rogers comes out of nowhere and tosses Walker off. The ref's back was turned. No, it wasn't. James McCone saw what was going on, and he calls for the bell, where Wayne Rogers comes in, one of the legends here tonight, sticking his face where it doesn't belong. And it looked like maybe, Mark, when things are all said and done, the Masked Superstar might not have needed this help here this evening.
I don't understand this. Wayne Rogers, what's he doing in the ring? I mean, who's going to come out next? Hawkeye Pierce? Come on, tell me, Chip.
I don't know, but again, Wayne Rogers teaming up with the Masked Superstar, 2-on-1 situation. Conan Chris Walker, worse for wear, will go for the ride off the rope. Both men waiting, drop him down. It's 2 against 1. Wait,
here comes the Boogie Man.
Boogie Man Valiant. The Boogie Man is here. Let's see if he and the Superstar can tangle. No, they're both going to head for higher ground, Joe.
Well, there you see it. Referee James McCone with the official decision. Conan Chris Walker.
Our hearts beat in the face of challenge, for without it, there is nothing. No character, no grit, no goals. Without challenge, there can be nothing. No discovery, no knowledge, no cures. For us, the challenge is everything. Without it, there can be no mountaineers.
Special manager, would you come on out here, rock and roll, Ricky Harrison?
Caught KC with a big shoulder block right there, right into the Jackie Fargo strut, if you will, as Bo James feeling good here in Kingsport in front of this capacity crowd.
You see those old Memphis Stays coming out, Bo James tonight. I tell you what, he is ready to go. Well, incidentally, today's his birthday. I know he's feeling good, and he wants to win those titles on his birthday, Joe.
I tell you what, be a great birthday present for Bo James and a great night for Brian Overbay to capture those tag team titles that are hanging in the balance here tonight, here with Southern States Wrestling for the Fun Fest 2002, as KC just got caught by another big shoulder block by Bo, up and over his man, into the ropes, and Bo reverses things right there, catches Thunder with a big hip toss, and Roger Anderson as well, and Bo catches KC with a clothesline, and Overbay catches Anderson with a clothesline as the tandem of James and Overbay are having a good time thus far here in this contest, Mike.
Tell you what, it's just good to have Ricky Harrison back in the house.
No doubt about that. That was a great encounter, great matchup that Harrison had with Terry Taylor. And that was a tremendous contest and a great way for Harrison to go out retiring after a great matchup with Terry Taylor. Of course, WCW, NWA legend, been around many, many years. And, you know, it was funny in the dressing room after that contest. Taylor asked Harrison, he said, you know, I hear you're retiring. And Harrison said, yeah, that was my last match. And Taylor told him, he said, well, that's a shame. He said, you're a great competitor in the ring. And I just thought that was a great show of sportsmanship for Taylor to say that to Harrison after the matchup that they had just had.
Oh, I'll tell you what, it's a match that I never will forget. I'll tell you what, it's a night that we'll never forget. And it's just good to see Ricky back tonight. Collar and elbow tie up by Roger Anderson and Bo James. Roger takes him to the corner, Joe, and this could spell trouble.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Anderson with a hard shot right there. Bo James responded. Series of left hands now by Bo James. He's got Anderson rocking, and he takes him down with that right. As KC comes in, he gets met with a quick shot and a kick down south of the border there as the Duke's dynasty seems to be crumbling at this moment.
I tell you what, the Duke, he is in a world of pain. He's not been hit or anything yet, but I tell you what, he is hurting because the game plan that he has talked over for weeks with his boys just has not come to materialize here tonight, if you will.
Yeah, I don't think plan A is working for the Duke. He's going to switch gears here, I believe, go to plan B or C. Got to try something here as the tag team titles are on the line in this matchup. We want to remind you of that because that is a crucial point as KC Thunder and Anderson are the champions going into this. Overbay and Bo James are the challengers in this tag match. Tag's been made now as Brian Overbay is stepping in. And Overbay, of course, he's a former SSW heavyweight champion as well. So he's a double tough competitor. And Ruthless Roger Anderson's history here in Southern States Wrestling, very, very well documented. Multiple time tag team champion here in SSW. And he's just laying in those chops on Brian Overbay right now. But Overbay grabs him by the ears. Mike turns him around and starts laying in a few of his own as the crowd comes to life here in Kingsport for the hometown boy, Brian Overbay, who just caught Anderson with that big backdrop as Anderson's heading to the floor, Mike.
I'm sorry, Joe. I tell you what, the action fast and furious. And those chops by Brian Overbay, I don't think nobody can hit as hard as Brian Overbay. You could hear them all over this building. It fires the crowd up. Man, this is fantastic. I'm telling you, FunFest 2002, it can't get much better, Joe.
Tell you what, you're right about that, Mike. We got a capacity crowd on hand. We've got great action in the ring as where everybody's having a good time here at FunFest 2002, coming to you from the Civic Auditorium in Kingsport, Tennessee. As Brian Overbay and KC Thunder have locked up collar and elbow. KC pulls Overbay back into the corner, measures this man and tattoos him with a hard chop, follows it up with a forearm right to the face, and now gouging at the eyes and facial features of Overbay. KC resorting to some dastardly tactics, Mike.
Rod Knight trying to get in between them and break on that, but KC Thunder from Cocoa Beach, Florida, he's a real tough competitor. Don't let him fool you. He shoots Overbay across the ring, goes for a big chop, the clothesline, but Overbay Jackson comes back with one of his own, and now KC hits the floor, Joe.
KC seeking the refuge of the floor as Anderson around to complain to referee Rob White about something, probably something imaginary in their own minds as Overbay and Bo James still up on the ring, Overbay in the ring. as Anderson and KC down on the floor. KC stepping back up into the ring, and looks like we're going to get this matchup back underway. James and Overbay seem to be working well as a tandem, been able to control a good bit of this matchup as KC now opens up on Overbay in the corner with a series of hard punches.
They look like they've been together for years, Joe, and I'll tell you what, really, Brian and Bo does look good together. I'm enjoying this matchup here, but the Dukes Dynasty, they're not going to give up. They're going to stay on these two men. Roger Anderson, you know, with the last name of Anderson, it's synonymous with wrestling action, and the Andersons have always been tough, man.
No question about that, and Roger Anderson, not only ruthless, but he doubles up, as you said, Mike, as Anderson now got Overbay in the corner, laying in a series of kicks to the midsection of Brian Overbay. Anderson now takes his man. Irish whip got reversed right there into the corner. Overbay with a big hip toss on Roger Anderson. Follows it up with a clothesline, and Anderson once again seeks the refuge of the floor, slowing down the momentum that Overbay had built.
Well, I tell you what, Overbay with that big clothesline, it about took Roger Anderson out of his boots. The tag has been made, the handsome one. Bo James is in the ring now to square off against ruthless Roger Anderson. They're eyeing each other. I tell you what, these guys knows each other well, Joe, and this is going to be kind of interesting to see right here.
No doubt about that. I've seen these guys square off many a time before here in Southern States Wrestling as they both locked up collar and elbow. Anderson pulls James back into the corner. Bo James is being held by, his ankle was being held there by the Duke as Ricky Harrison came around to break that up. Tag's been made now. Anderson tags in KC Thunder. KC walked in with a hard right hand right to the side of the jaw of Bo James and follows it up with a second. Bo is in trouble after Duke interfered and held the ankle there.
KC Thunder and Bo James, you know they know each other very well. They're cousins to each other. And I tell you what, Bo James is in trouble. But Brian Overbay came in to try to help him there. He was put out by referee Rob Knight, and it's just going to get fast and furious here. Of course, it's slowed down right now. KC Thunder trying to choke the life out of handsome Bo James. Now the Duke walks around, and he gets his hands on Bo. And now Bo's outside, Joe. He was going after the Duke, but the Duke used that there so Roger Anderson could take Bo down.
Good plan there by Duke and Anderson as they were able to sucker Bo James into that one as Duke now goes to work on Bo James with a series of punches. Overbay and KC are in the ring with the referee Rob Knight, but Bo James is taking a beating as Roger Anderson takes the tape off of his wrist, uses the tape to choke Bo James out on the floor as Brian Overbay and referee Rob Knight and KC Thunder are all in the ring, but Bo James is getting assaulted on the floor, Mike.
I tell you what, that's just like those Andersons. They always did use the tape from around the wrist. I tell you what, Joe, it's a dirty tactic, but it does work. And it has slowed Bo James down. Now Roger Anderson throws Bo James back into the middle of the ring.
Duke's Dynasty is riding high, at least for the moment, as Bo James, I'm sure, just trying to regroup, gather some strength, muster up some energy, and he's doing just that as he's back to a vertical base now. Bo James with a hard elbow to the midsection, follows it with a second, breaks away, and got caught with a high knee right to the midsection and chest area of Bo James. Roger Anderson makes the tag once again with KC Thunder, and Bo James is again at both of their mercy and in trouble, Mike.
Boy, Bo James had the momentum change going back his way, but that knee to the chest, I tell you what, that would knock anybody down, Joe. And now KC Thunder comes in, and he's applying the pressure to the trapezius muscles of Bo James. And I tell you what, this could put him out, Joe.
Very well could. A tremendous amount of nerves run up through your trapezius muscle area, collarbone area of your neck. And it's amazing how sensitive those nerves are. Bo James is able to fight off the pain, at least for the moment, as he's trying to make his way back up to a vertical base. KC continues to apply pressure. Bo James catches him with a second elbow, makes his separation, and just that fast. KC with a drop toe hold and goes right back in, working on the trapezius muscle again, back into that nerve hold, Mike.
I tell you what, don't never take KC Thunder for granted. He's a fantastic athlete. He knows wrestling. Don't never count him out short, because I tell you what, a beautiful drop toe hold there on Bo James. Back to the trapezius muscles, and if he stays on this, Joe, it's going to be trouble for the tag team of James and Overbay.
No doubt about that. Bo James taking a series of kicks to the top of the head now from Roger Anderson. Roger going to work on him, but Bo seems to be absorbing all of those shots, absorbing all of those punches as Anderson continues to lay him in there. Bo James just stands his ground and continues to stand his ground as Anderson, I know, is frustrated. Bo James now wiping his hands, and here he goes. He's opening up now. Series of left punches on Anderson, and a hard right takes Anderson down. Bo James has made the tag, Mike.
Oh, I tell you what, Brian Overbay coming in. There's that right hand to Roger Anderson. Now to KC Thunder. Back to Anderson. Now KC Thunder from behind tries to slow Brian Overbay down. Joe, I tell you what, it's broke loose here. Roger Anderson and KC Thunder both been on Brian Overbay, and now they take him to the corner. KC Thunder all over Brian. Man, he's laying those rights in, and I tell you what, he's crossing his running lights, Joe.
No doubt about that. Overbay managed to throw Thunder out of the ring right there. He's going to the floor here. We got to fight on the floor. We got to fight in the ring. Anderson just missed a big move in the ring. He's down. Bo James is heading up to the ropes here, it looks like, and catches him with a double fist drop. Mike, this could do it.
I tell you what, there's a big 3 count. Handsome Bo James on his birthday.
Thank you so much, fans, for tuning in to this week's episode of Championship Wrestling Connections presentation of Southern States Wrestling. Tune in next week for more of the best in professional wrestling and more classic wrestling as we take a look back at the best in professional wrestling.